The government has announced that they will be offering 13,000 more apprenticeship and T-level placement opportunities. They're going to bring forward V-levels, which are vocational pathways, provide colleges with 300 million to help the training strategy that they have, and give mayors and local leaders £283 million to do the same. As part of that strategy, the Education Estate Strategy, which is Construction Framework 25, effectively your bid to get on like a regional construction framework. They build the schools. You'll have to show that you're providing opportunities for apprentices, and 90% of those learners will have to be within a 30-mile radius of that school being built. So on the surface, that sounds great. The challenge is, as I mentioned, it was a regional procurement, regional framework. So if you're a big company, you might pick and choose different regions. You might not want to keep those apprentices. You may not want that burden of cost. And so when the project finishes, you go somewhere else. Maybe it's not profitable. We saw that a lot with Carillion or other big companies that have gone under. They pick and choose. That's not good for the apprentice because they won't finish their apprenticeship, and they certainly won't be retained afterwards. And we see the same in house building. If you're a house builder and you're effectively subcontracting on lowest price, well, you're not going to have that supply chain consistency. You're just going to get projects delivered, and that hurts the learner because it means they don't progress. That's the opposite actually of regional contractors and SME house builders, who obviously regional is key. They work locally, they train and retain locally. 80% of construction apprentices trained by SMEs. It kind of tells you that you need the SMEs to win the work and have a pipeline. Otherwise, we let the learners down. Colleges often say this: we don't have enough companies to put our learners into placements. They know that SMEs are the most important factor, but again, the planning system, as one example, it's actually harming contractors now because it's got so bureaucratic. But if you think about the house building process, site of 30 to 50 homes, 18 months to get planning, 18 months to satisfy legals and dot the I's, cross the T's, and actually get a shovel in the ground, then 6 months to build, maybe a bit longer. It's only at that point do you have any potential revenue coming in when you start to sell the home. So how can you take on an apprentice to do any works? It's why we've seen direct employment drop considerably, and we move into supply chains more consistently. And if you're a regional contractor, you want that quality, so you have a supply chain partnership. So people you work with. So whatever pipeline you get from your project, you still pass it down. The problem is, in house building, everyone's hand to mouth. You can't get projects over the line quickly. You're cutting your business costs in order to get a planning permission. So if you're project by project, you can't then pass that pipeline to your supply chain, and you certainly aren't going to directly employ. £35,000 for an apprentice is a lot to put out when you're not going to have them do any work for a while. And if it's a placement, they're not going to do any work. So really that enablement of SMEs is key, and that's what the government is looking to do. So in the planning, they've got what's called a medium-sized site, which is between 10 and 50 homes up to 49 homes. That is going to be a specific planning opportunity for SME house builders because they're the ones that typically build on those size sites. Brilliant. Procurement reforms look at supporting more SMEs. They had a pause on it because they weren't sure whether it was going to land as well as they wanted to. I think that was the right thing to do. But alongside that, there's an MP called Sarah Champion who is putting forward the Buy British bill so that we actually deliver more contracts and frameworks to support British and local businesses. It's really important. This has been a real big challenge for the government to get. Ironically, the last government did get it, but they didn't realise they got it. So they had lots of indicators that they're going to support heat pumps, boiler upgrade scheme, new build forced to have them, changing the EPCs so that heat pumps are going to be an opportunity to improve your EPC rather than damaging it, which is currently the process, because EPCs, energy performance certificates, aren't based on the energy efficiency of your home, but on the cost to run it. So heat pumps cost more than a gas boiler, so your EPC is worse if you get a heat pump. That will change. But all those markers told the heat pump industry the government is going to be mandating heat pumps or forcing heat pumps. So what did the industry do? They trained workers. It's very obvious. If you enable the market to do what the market does, and you enable and you set a direction of travel for business, business will invest. If you make things difficult, expensive, protracted. Businesses have to sit on their hands and work out how to get over that anti-business environment. And in construction, it is so anti-business. And it's not intentional. It's because they don't understand how the construction industry works. I will say, with the Construction Skills Mission Board that's been implemented, which brings the CITB, Construction Industry Training Board, and industry together with government departments, so maybe they can remove some crazy policies or not implement them because they understand what barriers they have on the industry. That's a great thing, really, really beneficial. But this stuff is going to take years to be put in place, and so are the planning reforms. So we are not going to get back to the 80s where SMEs build the majority of homes and deliver the majority of procurement projects, which means then we have more skilled workers being trained. It means that we're still going to go through the doldrums for the next 4 to 5 years as a minimum, and we're still going to be pretty reliant on immigration. So yes, this is good news, and the government is starting to get it from the examples I made, but we've got a long way to go. And interesting, that V level for vocational pathways, that's going to be interesting to get people into the industry. But there are some concerns around the competency of industry, and we are seeing some moves to make courses shorter. And there are worries that that's going to make competency of the industry worse. So we need a workforce, but we need a skilled workforce. So a long way to go, but good start, good middle point, a little bit worried about the end. But this has been a good announcement. If you've got any views, let me know. Maybe you run a business and you think, actually, I agree with you, or maybe you disagree with me. Do leave me a comment or ask me a question or ask me to cover something else, because this is a really important subject.